If you have issues with getting anything to fit up there comfortably, they really make a world of difference for getting past the pain and being able to feel comfortable again. Hello, I am here today to make the video that I wish existed back when I was a young teen, trying to figure out how to get over pain disorders and properly lose my virginity without feeling like I was dying. And it can be hard to know what to do. I happen to be a very lucky individual who had poor people insurance that made it so I was lucky enough to see a gynecologist who was able to give me the resources and the help that I needed, but I know not everybody is that lucky, so if you have dealt with the same similar things that I did once upon a time, I hope this can be helpful for you. For me, it was so much of a struggle because anytime I had all tried to masturbate, have sex with my partner at the time, it was just horribly painful. Any form of pressure, anything, was excruciating. A big thing that I and many other girls are generally misformed on is that it's basically like you just gotta break it open, and generally, no, that's not the case. The female genitalia is designed to be able to stretch very far enough to let an entire child out. So it should be able to open up just fine for a penis. And generally, the thing that makes it so unbearable is just getting through the mental struggles around it. For me, what made it so bad for me was the fact that I was dealing with fear. And I didn't realize I was still dealing with this fear, but I was. Growing up in a church and being told often how if you ever have sex before marriage at all, nobody's going to want you. You're going to be seen as dirty and gross and you're a sinner, and it's basically the worst thing you can ever do. But because I'd grown up with this teaching ingrained in my head for so long, I didn't know how to get past that. It made it so I was afraid of sex, and so every time anything at all close to it came by, I would be retreating from it. And generally what you have to do to get past that is to get past the fear of it, and that will make it so the pain isn't there. Luckily, my gynecologist had been able to inform me of where I was wrong and what I needed to do to get past it. Now, what ended up being a world of difference for me is this little device called a vaginal dilator. It's not something that's really for masturbation, it just helps slowly open you up to a point where you get used to the idea of something being inside you, and it's no longer scary, and you can slowly adjust to it. I had to get the smallest one that existed, and I couldn't get it through my insurance because insurance doesn't take lady problems seriously, generally, so for something like this, you have to get elsewhere. But yeah, basically it's a little bit smaller than my pinky because yes, I was sensitive enough to the point where I couldn't do this, and for a while I couldn't even get this inside me. But basically what you do is pretty much hold it over the vaginal area and you want to let it sit there. However far you can get it without it being uncomfortable, you just let it sit there. It took me for this one about a week, and just slowly be a thing where you might want to leave it in there about 15 minutes at a time, I think I would do, and just slowly get up to a point where you're comfortable. But yeah, after about a week or so, I was able to get it fully inside me without there being discomfort, and I remember it being one of the happiest moments for my life because it was like finally a thing where it wasn't painful to have something inside me, and it really helped me get through my fear. They have all kinds of different sizes, and I know they have one for anal sex too. I happen to use the, what is this one called? Yeah, the brand's called Soul Search. I don't know if it matters as much, but I would definitely go through an actual medical company. My gynecologist gave me different sources to use, but just for sanitary reasons, you might not want to trust places like Wish for something like that because it's medical. But yeah, basically, I couldn't really afford more than my little dilator that I had at the time. I believe it was about $40 for me, and at the time when I had ordered it, I was a broke high school student, and I couldn't afford more than that. But after I was able to start using that, I was able to slowly get more comfortable. But it wasn't a cure-all, but it definitely made a world of difference for me. For dilators, you want to use, like, this type of lube that's just water-based, because it'll kind of gunk it up otherwise. Definitely lube is a good thing to bank on. And when it comes to finally using sex toys, yeah, that is a great idea. You should get comfortable with being with yourself before you try to be with somebody else, just to know how your body works, what makes you comfortable, what gives you pleasure. When it comes to sex toys, this one was the first one I got. This was like the smallest thing I could find. To this day, this one's way too big for my comfort. I was able to fully get it inside me once, and it was after, I would say about 2 years of actually having sex, but I don't find it very comfortable. It's big enough to the point where it just feels too much and there's not much for moving around. But the vibration settings are nice. But what I would more so suggest for beginners that was better for me is something that's smooth like this. Obviously, it probably is too much to fit in all the way, but just having part of it, something that's smooth actually feels a lot more comfortable than something that's styrofoamy if you're still sensitive. I know it seems weird, but this can be a little bit more irritating to the touch, whereas something like this, because it's so smooth, it can slip in a lot easier. So especially if you're just looking to slowly increase in size, I definitely think like the glass sex toys work a lot better. That's just me. But yeah, because they're literally just smooth, it really just, it gets in there a lot easier. And yeah, it can be hard to try to find the right things for you. Even to this day, I don't always have the best of luck of finding anything that works for me. But generally, it's still something that's good to have for just getting over the dysphoria. Not necessarily to even pleasure yourself, just to get used to the feeling of something inside you so that it doesn't become painful anymore. I think I'll just end things there. Good for for virgins or just people who are dealing with being able to feel safe around it again. And when it comes to being able to have sex with an actual person, if you're somebody who deals with pain disorders, it's very important to be able to be with somebody who you can feel safe around, who's going to listen to you if you say, hey, you know, you need to stop. Everybody should do that, but there are bad people who won't.